Hi, you guys. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't get to this episode earlier this morning, but it's about 5:15, 5:20 actually, as I look at the clock, as I record this from my iPhone, and it's 5:20 p.m. on Tuesday, January 10th, and because I've been dealing with a lot of heavy subjects this week, like people dying literally, and then people wanting me, and then making huge changes in my life. Actually, I have a huge change in my life coming, which I will start telling publicly on Thursday, but because to lighten up the mood, and because it's 2017, I know a lot of podcasters do podcasts that they really like. So, unfortunately, I can't do that on my other show, unless with my other co-host, because it's an interview podcast base. So, I'm going to do it on this show, The Spirit of 622. And my number one is the Spirit of 622's namesake, the Spirit of 608. The Spirit of 608 is hosted by the fabulous Lori Anderson out of Charlottesville, Virginia, and UVA, go Hokies, but it has nothing to do with UVA. It has all to do with fashion and technology and sustainable tech, like turning plastic bags into a fabulous shirt. So go check out The Spirit of 608, and The Spirit of 608.com is their website. Number two, I had a hard time deciding, but I think I'm going to put number two at The Win by not me. I did not name this podcast The Win. I named this podcast not because it has my name in it, it's because the host is not one of those hosts that doesn't like fluff. She tells you like it is. And if you go to heatherhavenwood.com, and you will find out more about Heather Havenwood. Actually, I did an interview with her today. So if you look for The Win, W-I-N is exactly how you spell my name. So if you look for The Win in iTunes, Heather Havenwood podcast should pop up. I keep wanting to say iPod, but no. And so that's number two. Number three is The Nice Guys on Business. The Nice Guys on Business are more of a comedy-esque podcast, but it's a business podcast, and they have really funny intros, and their Doug Strickland is one co-host, and I forget the other co-host name, and they interview phenomenal people, and that's a really good podcast. The other one is, I hate to be biased, but it's Butterflies of Wisdom. number 4 is Butterflies of Wisdom, because it's hosted by yours truly. And yours truly is almost to 200 episodes in season 3. My co-host said season 5 live today, and I'm like, we're not that good yet, but season 3 is almost 200 episodes. And so if you go back to episode 1 of season 1, you'll hear me speaking on mic and, yeah, not doing a good job. And then number 4, that's Butterflies of Wisdom is number 4. Number 5 is Jessica Rhodes' podcast, the Roads to Success. And if you Google Jessica Rhodes, you'll see what I'm talking about. She runs Interview Connections, which, after I tell you my big news, I'm going to start using Interview Connections. Interview Connections solidly gets you booked on podcasts. Of course, there's a fee. There's a fee involved in everything. So, yes, I will use Interview Connections probably in the spring when it's not so dark and snowy out and I feel better because of, it's dark and snowy and cold, and it's like, really, I have to sit in my office and do interviews? I'll probably do that in March, in the springtime, when I have a little bit more time on my hands and can focus on the interviews. Right now I can't really focus on the interviews, so that's just me. And let's see what else. Number 6 is number 6 is David Axelrod's podcast. And David Axelrod runs a podcast called The Axe. So if you know who David Axelrod was, I believe he was Obama's Secretary of something, I can't remember now. But David Axelrod runs an excellent podcast. And that's number 5. Number 6 is She Podcast. And number 6 is She Podcast. And that's run by Elsie Escobar and Jessica Kupferman. And then all these podcasts could be found in iTunes, Google Plus, iHeartRadio, and so that's number 6. Number 7 is Mark Maron's podcast, and I won't say the words on this podcast, the title of its podcast, but if you Google Mark Maron, you will find Mark Maron's podcast, and he does a phenomenal job, and he's a comedian, and he just does a phenomenal job. I believe he gets 1,000 downloads a day on his podcast because it's so phenomenal. He had, speaking of President Obama, Mark Maron had President Obama on his podcast, and that just he did a really good job with President Obama. So Mark Maron's podcast, let's see what else. I am a big podcast junkie, so of course it's hard for me to nail this down. I thought about this when I was out driving around town today, actually, because I'm a big podcast junkie. And so, Social Media Experts is another one by Jay Bear. If you just type in Social Media Experts, it will pop up. And then if you type in, and surprise, surprise, the last one I'm going to name, because she does a really good job at it, is Katie Cook's podcast. And yes, she has a podcast. If you just type in her name, that will pop up in iTunes. And then John Lee Dumas, who's coming on my show on Thursday, so I'm really excited about that. Unfortunately, my co-host will be doing that one because I will be snowboarding, and because John Lee Dumas is so busy on EO Fire doing a phenomenal job busting the podcast world by storm here, and his girlfriend / wife does Kate Takes, which is also a podcast. EO Fire is something that everyone listens to, and it's getting a little too much exposure. That's why I put it in at the end. And so, because John Lee Dumas is so busy, he can only give podcast interviewers 15 minutes. So, if you want to be on either Butterflies of Wisdom or just talk to me about podcasting in general, you can tweet me at Win Kelly Charles, Win WINKELLY Charles CHARLES, or you can email me at aspenwin@gmail.com, or you can DM me Win Kelly KELLY Charles CHARLES Win WIN, or you can subscribe to Butterflies of Wisdom. All my books could be found on Amazon, and of course, Butterflies of Wisdom won't be going anywhere soon. Neither will the Spirit of 622, and I just love podcasting, so I have a huge announcement for you guys on Thursday, and I'm telling the rest of my fan base on Friday, so I hope you guys will support me on Thursday with my huge announcement. Bye, you guys.